think what African countries need to do, in a structured way, is to come together. I mean, there is no need for Africa to be speaking in different voices. There has to be a single voice. There has to have an agenda. So I'm a big fan of African countries setting the agenda by coming together. We have a COP event. There are going to be top countries in there. Who are going to try to have their own agenda. Africa must always go in there prepared with its own agenda. So if we're going to have like a mini COP, a mini Africa COP, to bring people together, and it could be virtual, it could be something that Africa is already going with, like a laundry list, to most of these institutions, to the COP, and say, this is what we think we need. And the things we need, and first is that these issues are, number one, intersectional. So there's an intersectionality into the Bridgetown Initiative, agenda. There's an intersectionality with the carbon credit market. There's an intersectionality also with the energy transition frameworks. So Africa needs to go there and build some form of build a common front on what it thinks are critical or important to it. So that's something that has to start from first. And that intersectionality is what will now help it to say, we've had organizations, multilaterals like the World Bank, saying we are not going to fund fossil fuel or back fossil fuel investments anymore. So, which also means that if you don't back fossil fuel, you can use those resources to rapidly support emergence of green energy and climate change champions within the respective countries, which is what it should be at the end of the day. So for me, I think that intersectionality has to be built. Africa needs to go in with a common front and being able to bring every single issue together and wrap it around the need for a just and a fair, climate change and energy transition framework. And I think that's just what it is. And we can do that through the AU in some sort of way. I was excited with what President Ruto said recently, that there's a need for, when we have this US-Africa summit, India-Africa summit, Russia-Africa summit, China-Africa summit. There's a need for Africa also to have some self-respect by banding together and saying, if we want to speak to Africa, speak to a single voice in Africa, not you holding 54 or 57 head of states and putting them together and saying, and take nice photographs and talk about issues. Africa needs to there has to be a common front. The EU has its own challenges within, but you are aware about who is the secretary is, who is leading the conversation, who you're meant to be talking to, and that's where it should be in Africa. We need a stronger AU that Africa countries invest in, support, back, and they show to the world that whatever the AU is saying is our common voice, and it should benefit the entire African country. So I think that's what it should be for me.